It's tonight in Rotary. We're all about community service and how we can help serve our community and improve our community, and that is one of the big things that drew me to Rotary and this club in particular. But today we have the opportunity to say thank you to some of our local first responders. We in the Niceville Valparaiso Rotary Club, we're honored to have this opportunity to recognize these everyday heroes that do great work in keeping our community safe and secure. You first responders, you embody the Rotary motto of service above self, and we really take that to heart. We're humbled that you could take time out of your busy evenings to join us and fellowship with us. I'll let you know, I'm going to stand up here and kind of guide the way so that we get all the names right and get the right awards handed out to the right people and have fun. That's what we're here to do. For each award winner, we have an award certificate that one of your supervisors will present, along with a few pieces of information about you as the award winner that made you so special this year, and some great things that you did for us this year. And we also have a very nice gift certificate to Sano's Garlic Grill in Blue Water Bay. I'll ask a supervisor from each department in turn to come up and recognize your top performers for 2019. And we'll begin with Niceville Police Department. And I'd like to introduce Sergeant Grant Wright to present the award for Niceville Police Officer of the Year.
When we talk about John, I can talk about stats. I don't think that's what makes necessarily a good first responder, is just relying on stats. I think a lot of it is what you put in of who you are into the community. John is a guy that is very family oriented. That translates really well into what he does on shift. He cares about the people he comes in encounter with, and as big as he is, he's probably the biggest teddy bear I've ever met. He's the guy that wears his heart on his sleeve, and will do anything in the world for you. And that's, along with our brotherhood, it's also translates straight to the community. He's passionate when he works cases, and he cares about the calls and the people he goes on with. So without any further ado, Officer Newby.
Buddy Wilson, I'm a captain at East Niceville Fire Department. Unfortunately, the guy we wanted to give this award to called out today and couldn't be here due to a family emergency. So Tyler will stand in for him, and I'll give it to him in a couple of days when we see him again. The East Niceville Fire District would like to award the title of East Niceville Firefighter of the Year to firefighter EMT Justin Usher. Justin has only been with our department for a little over a year, but has accomplished several things, including become a state and nationally recognized EMT and taken the outside courses and in-house training needed in becoming our newest step-up engineer. I've been a new guy, or probie, we call new guys. I have seen and worked with many probies, and in my short time as a captain, I've had a few probies come work on my shift. Justin is by far one of the best new guys I've ever worked with. Most of what we do on calls on the scenes of emergencies are learned skills, things that you can teach to most people. Justin is hardworking, compassionate to people in need, humble, and a great guy to have on shift, things that can't be taught. The X factor. He's one of the guys I want coming to help my family in an emergency. I believe he's very deserving of this award tonight, and I thank the host for giving us the opportunity to recognize him and all the others here tonight. Thank you.
Battalion Chief Nate Ark, present to present the Firefighter of the Year Award to Captain Todd Harris.
All right, thank you. Captain Harris, he's on his second term with us at the fire department. Since he's come back, he's done a lot for us in terms of working really hard to get some grants for some much needed equipment within the fire department. Kind of helps transfer the burden away from the public having to finance some big ticket items. So without work in writing these grants and things, we would have probably had to go without. So, Captain Harris, if you'll come on up.
I'm sorry.
1, 2, 3. One more.
Sergeant Jeffries was our Airman of the Year. He's done several different things throughout the year. He helped stand up the Virtual Visitor Control Center. Recently returned from a deployment. We were deployed together, and he provided security for counter-narcotics aircraft, where they did things like, they found like 80 counter-narcotic targets, recovered bales of cocaine, arrested 11 people. So it was an important mission. We were down in Curacao, and then while we were there, he was also in the community, which is good for host nation relations. So he was volunteering at the Curacao American Preparatory School, helping with fitness events. It was like 112 kids, I think, running stations, landscaping. So he was good ambassador to the community while we were there as well. So, Airman Jeffries.
1, 2, 3. One more. Awesome.
That'd be great.
Officer Ortiz is one of the DAF civilians that works with us. She's busy at work. She's not somebody that likes to kind of come to work and go hide somewhere. So she does things like she did over the past year. It was like 12 retail theft investigations, like 5 major vehicle accidents. Volunteered for softball, baseball coach. Attended a level 2 negotiator class. So she keeps herself busy both at work and in the community. So I would say Officer Ortiz, but she's not here.
All right.
That's on track.
Get the photo.
1,
Sorry, Billy.
3.
Okay, thank you.
We think of superhero, superwoman, you think of Gibbs. She's a mother, her husband milled the mill, and also she has a 3-year-old. When you need help, Gibbs is the person to go to. Like we said, there's a lot of different things she's done in the squad, but one thing I like to highlight is her dedicated to the unit. She's part of a club, a DA, did all the voluntary events, making sure that organization cohesiveness is there, which is a big thing. On the extra duty part, she actually, all the policies that's been written for the guidance for 350 defenders, she makes sure that policy is done correctly. Every year she does reviews to ensure that it's done properly. And without her, our guys would be lost. So I thank you for it. And that's why she's Airman, or excuse me, NCO of the Year. 1 out of 50. So,
Awesome. Good job.
All right, Sergeant Grib. Congratulations. And next will be Master Sergeant Bo Hansen. Please come on up.
Bo Hansen, my brother. He's my partner in crime. He's my right-hand man. So when things are done right, it's because of Bo Hansen. So I really appreciate that. If y'all know how the base is designed, the West Gate, you look at the four layers of defense. It was done because of him. MASCOM came down, headquarters came down and said the security is not correct. Bo Hansen and his team, along with Gibbs, went out there and devised a plan to ensure that we're doing our security of the base was met. And that's Bo Hansen. Another big accomplishment of Bo Hansen is, you know, we share airline, Eglin and the airfield, we share together, right? That has 4,890 flights per year that flies there. His team devised a plan to move the munitions, basically the weapons come through, to move to a different area because there was an explosive arc. So basically, if a bomb would have happened in a particular area, then all flights would be seized. But because of Bo Hansen's quick action, we moved it, and now things can still go on while flights can still travel. So thank you, Bo.
One more. Sweet.
Captain Harms is the company grade officer of the year, and he tried to play it down, but I know better, having been an officer myself. For one thing, you need a lot of good people working with you to make sure the job's really getting done. And then you need to tell them to do the right thing. And then aside from that, you got to make sure it's actually getting done correctly. But I kind of joke about it. you know, I was an officer in the Air Force in a fighter squadron, and I was hanging out with a lot of other officers. So, you know, as a lieutenant, for example, I was just in charge of an aircraft, but I didn't have to make sure that people were getting their jobs done. I really, you know, it's easy to tell a jet what to do. But this young man, I know he's in charge of a lot of people. He didn't tell me how many, but how many? One. There we go. So let me tell you, that's stress. If you've never led 400 defenders, I'm sure the defenders are doing an awesome job, but there's a lot of stress there because their problems are now your problems. So Captain Harms, I just want to thank you for doing an outstanding job for the past year. And I know you wouldn't have earned this award without doing some pretty awesome things.
One more. That's for my own photo album.
We'll begin with the Military Firefighter of the Year, and that's going to be Senior Airman Eric Gonzalez.
First and foremost, on behalf of Egmont Fire and Emergency Services, Chief Giuliano and our commander, Major Matty, thank you Rotary Club for having us. I really appreciate everything that you guys do for us. And, it's an honor to kind of recognize these three young individuals. So as I stand up here awkwardly talking to a whole bunch of individuals that I've never met before, I'd like to call them up and have them join me. So Senior Airman Gonzalez, Mr. Rao, Mr. Southern, come on up first.
I'd like to add also, unfortunately we're missing Master Sergeant Christopher Hill, but Sergeant Emery will recognize him as well.
Absolutely. So backwards, so Nicole, Beth, Crystal, can you stand up please? Thank you very much. So, obviously, without you three, these three aren't getting it done. Okay, so you know we have Eric Gonzalez. He's done some amazing things this year for us. He's right now in Airman Leadership School, which is our second tier of professional military education. Getting ready to graduate, so we're really proud of him. He's cemented his CCAF degree, but he's holding off on kind of pushing it so he can get a second associate's degree. And then he was handpicked by our leadership team to kind of run our extinguisher maintenance program on base. We have these really big bottles that kind of our frontline fire kind of defense for our maintainers. We have a $4 billion aircraft portfolio, so you know our aircraft are very, very important to us. And he makes sure that all of our maintainers have that frontline fire capability. So really proud of him and everything that he's done for us this year. Mr. Brandon Rao, he's a lieutenant with us. You know, awesome to meet him. The first time I ever met him, I kind of was like, wow, that's a poised individual. Very, very straightforward, always leading from the front. The stuff that he's done in the community, kind of with training and stuff like that over the years, kind of bleeding out into the community. Really thankful for him doing that. He had a little touch of it this year. He was able to kind of help us with our active shooter program, get our Asher, we call it Asher program, kind of Asher defense kits, these little kits that we slide over. I know our law enforcement and our security forces folks understand that kind of stuff, but these are these like kits that we can kind of wear. We started a new thing where we're going in and trying to save wounded people that maybe we might be able to save their life, and he was a key integral part of that. And then also he just it was just made official. He was the civilian Category 1 command level Cat 1 fire officer, firefighter of the year. So yeah, so thank you very much. And then Mr. Joe Suddeth, you know, if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be standing here today. So I'm pretty sure most people in the community know him, especially on this side of the house, the Valparaiso and Niceville area, and everything that he's done for us. So if there's a county exercise that goes wrong, just call him and blame him. But everything that he's done for us and the mentorship that he provides, all of our frontline supervision and our firefighters day in and day out, is instrumental. So one thing that a lot of people don't know about him is just how forward-leaning he is. He's always out there looking for what's the next best thing for our fire department. His integration with the Firefighter Against Cancer and Exposure program that he brought on the Team Edmond is huge, and we really thank him for that. And also, he was AFMC Fire Officer of the Year, command level win. So congratulations, sir. And I'll regress all the way back. I forgot, but Airman Gonzalez was also our command level military firefighter of the year. So congrats. Thank you. And lastly, Chris Hill couldn't make it. He just returned from deployment, and he's with his family right now on some much needed, quality time with them. So, on behalf of him, he just wanted to say thank you to the Rotary Club. Thank you to everybody that, provides for this community, that frontline defense, everybody. So really think he's thankful for that. And I think this is like the second time he won the award. So I was like, okay, I'll go accept it for you. So, because I never win any of these things. So. All right, sir. Without further ado, Major Matty will present the award.
Okay, so again, we've got our Military Firefighter of the Year, Senior Airman Eric Gonzalez. Civilian Firefighter of the Year, Mr. Brandon Rowell.
3. One more. 1, 2. There we go.
Okay, this is Brandon Small. I have the distinct pleasure of supervising him on a daily basis, which actually doesn't require a whole lot of work on my part. I feel like I'm cheating. He started with us in August of 2017, and he has very rapidly made a name for himself. There are several command staff level people that know him by name and by face due to the level of product that he puts out. There is no such thing as him giving anything less than 100%. It's not possible for him. If he has a bad day, it doesn't matter. He's still getting 100% effort into the job. Prior to doing this, he was active duty Marine Corps for 4 years. That's right. Semper Fidelis, where he worked in aviation ordnance. The one that keeps him straight when I'm not babysitting him is his wife, Nuvia. She's fantastic, and she's really good for him. They share 2 children together. Some of Brandon's highlights for the year. He started being an FTO, a field training officer, last year, and he actually had 11 trainees, which is pretty significant because you're going to have a trainee anywhere from 14 to 28 calendar days. Okay, so now keep that in mind. He's got 11 trainees, anywhere from 14 to 28 calendar days per trainee. And now his individual stats for the year on top of that, he's looking at 3,150 calls for service that he personally responded to. 194 arrests. We only work about 180 days a year, okay? So all those trainees who have their own arrest stats, and he's got personally 194. He wrote 225 reports. Some of them were painstakingly long, and I have to read them. Individually seized 16 firearms, plus about another half dozen with the help of his team, but individually 16 firearms, which is pretty significant for a road patrol deputy. He was able to not necessarily interdict, but immediately following a home invasion robbery where 4 or 5 individuals were going in to rob a home at gunpoint. They were stopped by the homeowner who came out with a shotgun. Then they drove down the street and started to concoct their plan of how they're going to carry out the plan of the day. And Brandon Small happened to roll up on the car, make contact with him, identify some contraband in plain view, and was able to detain all of them. They had bulletproof vests in the car, they had a firearm in the car, they had gang colors. So it was a pretty big case that he was able to actually solve on behalf of investigations. This is well above the standard performance of a patrol deputy. Another significant case, there was 2 gentlemen that came in from Atlanta that kidnapped a homeless veteran. They gave him a ruse. Hey, we're gonna put you to work today, and you got an ID, yeah, fantastic. So they started printing fake checks with the guy's name. The guy starts to feel uncomfortable after they go into the first bank. And the dude started threatening him. Nope, you're gonna work for us. We're going to Atlanta. You're gonna hit all these banks on the way. And the guy couldn't get out. Well, there was one bank they went to where the guy had the victim, the veteran, homeless veteran. He had just enough space where he could talk to the teller without the people seeing from the car. So Brandon actually solved that case. He provided a description of the people, at which all of my deputies are very proactive. Otherwise, I would fire them. So, but he is probably the most proactive. But he got the information out there, and the other deputies were able to find the vehicle, arrest the two people. Investigations obviously came in and assumed the case, but without the work that he laid with the victim, that case wouldn't have been possible. All of his things that he does at work is fantastic, but he also understands that to whom much is given, much is required. And he also volunteers his time. The Sheriff's Office has a charity called OCSO Star Charities. We give out money to all kinds of different charities throughout the years, and it's also designed to give deputies assistance if they need to. For example, one of our guys, their house burned down, right, and they had nothing. So Star Charities donated some money. So he actually assisted in running a charity match for the Sheriff's Office, which benefited Star Charities, and he was out there volunteering his time in the middle of the summer, which he obviously doesn't have much up top to protect him. So,
Thank you. That's what I feel too. That's how I feel.
10 hours in the sun is a lot for him. So he did that. He also actually went and helped renovate some landscapes for some homes that were being renovated for homeless veterans off of Lovejoy, which is fantastic for him to come out and volunteer his time. And he also went and read to elementary age children as a uniformed law enforcement officer to help benefit those relationships as these kids grow up. Also going above and beyond the scope of his duties as a patrol deputy, he's able to establish a rapport with people, and based on that rapport, frequently gets confessions or information from people on the street. More importantly, he was able to develop enough of a relationship where he was able to cultivate informants to go work for our narcotics section, which is pretty difficult. Having worked there, your success is measured by your ability to relate to informants, which is very difficult because we have law-abiding citizen, non-law-abiding citizen, and you have to have enough of a relationship in order to get them to trust you with information. So he was able to develop several informants, which he passed off to the narcotics section. Those informants resulted in another $3,000 seized, 6 more firearms, 6.5 pounds of marijuana, 26 bottles of codeine, and 8 additional arrests. So he definitely goes above and beyond, and it's absolutely my pleasure to supervise him on a daily basis. Brandon Small.
One more. Awesome. Great job.
Appreciate it. Congratulations. Thanks, sir. Some of these individuals, if you do, give them a well-deserved handshake and pat on the back. But for Valparaiso Police Department, Police Officer of the Year is Officer Robert Jordan. Niceville Fire Department, Firefighter of the Year is Mr. Jason Maines. And Valparaiso Fire Department, Firefighter of the Year is Mr. Nathaniel Alfano. A round of applause for those who came in. All right, I really want to say thank you again to our first responders and especially our spouses and family members that came to support, and there may be a few friends here too. Y'all are a critical piece of the team and allowing your first responders to do their job, knowing that the family is taken care of. So we really appreciate that. I know, over my years in the military, I walked into some things that I never expected. I can't even imagine some of the scenes that you've come upon and had to deal with. So we really appreciate what you put into your jobs. And it is a pleasure for us to have you here tonight and to present these awards. So thank you again. Thank you.
I enjoy it.